John Talks, episode 11. Nothing keeps me humble like shitting my pants. It's true. Over the years, I've done a lot of things that have caused people to tell me that they appreciate my fearless attitude towards life. And they tell me, oh, you must be very courageous for things they've either witnessed me do or heard about me do or seen me do on video. And I always take it with a grain of salt because for sure I'm doing those things, whether it's jumping out of airplanes or flying helicopters or going on a stand-up stage or going on Rodeo Drive in a chicken suit or like one of a million other things that I've done this life that from the outside, yeah, they look pretty fearless. But I know that many times in this life, I have shit my pants. And nothing keeps me humbler than when it happens. And then just keeping it in the back of my mind that, like, yeah, that did happen. Like, there's no getting over this animal side of myself. And even if my mind's got all the fear taken care of or taken out of the equation as much as possible, someone forgot to tell my ass. And it definitely showed a little chink in the armor during some of these events or just prior to some of these events. And it's really a great equalizer for all of the other exploits in life where I'm seemingly, successful or actually successful. And it definitely pierces the ego to just be like, yeah, remember that time like you just like shit your pants? And it's like the ego doesn't like to hear that. And it's like, yeah, I do remember that. And it doesn't matter, in the area, in the topic of shitting your pants, it happens various ways. Like I've had it happen where I've just been like deathly ill and then there you go. Like you lose control. And then all the way ranging up to just like you're on the edge of like amazing events. They're just overwhelming. And, it's just like, it's just like, you just slip a little bit and you're like, oh man, like your stomach gets super bad. Like before stand-up comedy performances, especially like the first like 10 or 20, I would just like have to shit so bad. And like I would get nauseous too in the green room before. I remember the first few, it was just like, I didn't even know if I was going to make it to the stage. My stomach was like so bad. And then I was going up and, I was doing stand up as a character, and the character was absolutely just a straightforward, hilarious psycho who didn't have any like real time for real emotion or anything. And so it was funny to me because it's like, oh my God, like I'm just dying here. And like, one time I did shit my pants a little bit before going up. I was like, or I don't know if it was just like leftover from like the explosive pre-performance diarrhea I had. But here I am, going up on stage and playing a bulletproof, just take, no holds barred, take no prisoners character. But, 5 minutes prior, I was just like losing control of my bowels. And it happens enough times during life, and then there's like, the accidental shit your pants where you're just whatever. You're in a stage in life and you're just like, yeah, I'm just like, I think I'm going to take a leak, especially for guys, because we'll just like do stand up, urinations. And then it's like, oh yeah, just like, yeah, push a little harder there. It's like, yeah, let that one rip. And then boom, shit your pants. And you're like, oh my God. And it doesn't matter if it's just like a little bit. In fact, it's even like, if it's just like the tiniest amount of like you shit your pants, you're like, oh my God. You're like, I don't even want to look. You're like, I think I know that feeling. And it's like not a regular thing, but like it'll happen enough times during life where, you'll have a calibration for that feeling of you're like, yep, that one went too far. And like, that's not good. Like all pride, all egoism, like just immediately drains out of the system when the body realizes that you have in fact shit your pants. And you're like, fuck. Like, I guess in the back of my mind, this is the last thing that was separating me from the animals. Was, we have underwear, right? Like animals, they don't even bother to wear underwear. They're just walking around naked. They don't even have the concept of naked. They're just ready to do their thing wherever they go, right? So we have underwear that separates us, but what really separates us is that the underwear that they don't wear and that we wear, we still keep ours clean. And then when the shitting my pants event happens, you realize that you have just crossed that line. You're like, dude, that's it. That was the barrier. Was, I'm wearing this underwear and now, and I was keeping it clean as a sign of my personal hygiene to myself. And then a moment happens where it's no longer clean, and you're like, man, animal shame. Animal shame comes in, and then eventually, if it happens enough, you're just like, the animal shame is just like more transmuted and just like temporary shock, like an emergency light in your car. You're like, yep, fucking shit my pants. Got to go take care of this. What's going on? Like, what's the damage here? You're like Captain Kirk calling in engineering, finding out what happened. How long is it going to take to get this shit back up and running? And they're all, spawned by all kinds of different things. Not to mention the fact that I have had times where just adrenaline producing activities, or being put in a shock, like hit by a car, or military stuff, or whatever, like high energy trauma stuff happens, where the body goes numb and the adrenaline goes, and you don't even know what's going on. And then it's like, go home later and be like taking a shower or something, and just look down and go, oh man, I fucking shit my pants a little bit, right? And then you start grading it out, like, was it a little bit? Because it doesn't matter, like, whether it's like a bit or a much, whether you were sick or healthy, whether it was, stress induced or whatever, it gets you to the same point. And, for me, helpful, I've incorporated it in, because it's like, okay, that's part of the human experience. And because when you're a kid, you're just always shitting your pants, right? Up for the first few years, it's a shit your pants free for all, and somebody else is paying the piper for it, right? Like, thanks, parents. Like, first 2-3 years, you're just like bossing around, just like, yep, feel good. I'm just gonna fucking crap right here. Just take a leak on myself and just crap, and let somebody else take care of it. And then the frequency of that apparently just decreases. Apparently that activity never goes away. It just decreases, severely, hopefully, for everybody, but doesn't completely disappear. And then I have it on good authority that once you hit like your 90s or whatever, like, get back into that mode anyway. And lots of people through life, they have all kinds of other things that happen. Like, God, what was that? I remember back in like the 90s or 2000s, there was like some additive in like chips or whatever, and one of the side effects was like anal leakage. And it was just like, man, imagine that. Like, you're just super into like your chips or whatever, and then all of a sudden, like 5 days a week, you're just like slightly shitting your pants, and you're like, what? It's like, dude, anal leakage, it'll get you. But yeah, I found it helpful because, yeah, I've been living a life where I've been doing some stuff that could definitely lead to some egotistical chest puffing. And also, on this artistic path, it also turns into like artistic spiritual paths. I've done, lots of meditating and lots of, in the meditations, get lots of high perspectives and things that also could lead to, egotistical delusion and all that kind of stuff. Because it's like really getting into positions, like really see how the universe looks, kind of like look up the universe's skirt and see how creation works. Be like, oh, that's cool. And like, it comes in pure and, makes you feel good. And then once again, like, you could be doing these meditations like monk style for years and years and years, and like really seeing stuff and see it validated in the reality and know, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm really like seeing this like high level truth, or at least, truth of creation or whatever you want to call it. And before you think too highly of yourself at some point, yep, shit my pants. Fucking, there you go. There you go, you little think you're being like little cosmic universe master guy. Like, nope. You can still peek into the secrets of the universe and still have some anal leakage. And so you gotta go deal with that. You fucking dirty little animal body. So yeah, it's a pretty quick humbler, And honestly, if you look at the full spectrum of actions that the universe can take to humble a man, that's one of the gentlest and I would argue most effective, because it really cuts to the core of it. It's just like, yeah, here you go. And ultimately, like, as you find out, like, not as big a deal, but it does make you remember. Like, it does make a memory. There is that aspect to it. So it'll keep you humble and it makes a memory. And then also, just compassion, because it's like, usually humility for me is like usually the pathway to compassion. And it's one that, like, even after doing like a lot of ego work and getting really stripped down, to have compassion be a part of daily living and like momentary living when I'm approaching people and having in my presence all the time, there's still there's still like more sensitive levels of compassion, and sometimes they need to be triggered by things, or it seems as though they are triggered by things in my personal experience that humble me momentarily, even if I'm not like an egotistical mode or whatever. Just something that'll just like catch your attention and like bring you down even more to like a certain level of relatability, so that you can really relate to other people. And like shitting my pants is kind of like, it's kind of a comical way to like bring me down to earth and be like, oh, okay. Because then it's like, when you're in that moment, or when I'm in that moment rather, yeah, then I can really, like, I generally enjoy very good health this life, generally speaking. And so in those moments when I have that type of thing happen where I'm like, okay, I'm dealing with like a shit my pants moment, not only does it make me assess the moment and look at myself and all that, but then, which happens pretty quick because it's fine, I get over myself pretty quick, but then in those moments, then I can just really relate to people with like real health problems and like chronic issues. And it does make me think about people who, they're living their lives, and, like people with cancer, and like, kids with, terminal diseases, and people with long-term maladies, and people who are born with just poor health to begin with, or people who are born without all of their faculties. And it does make me, it gives me pause for reflection for people who aren't experiencing, great health and great ability to interact with the reality in a full capacity. And so in that respect, so when I say it humbles me, I don't just mean like, oh, my ego gets torn down, because I've done a lot of that work, but more to the point, I mean that like it really gives me a window and like a gateway to feel some real compassion, like real connection in these other ways that I don't normally think about, because when I'm up and running, I'm trying to use my health and my abilities to do good things in the world. That's been my aim. And so that's compassion for other people and stuff is built into my actions, where I'm out there trying to like, my intention is to use my person to, be a good human being, basically, and so I'm not thinking necessarily about all the particulars. So when something like shit in my pants happens, it really grounds me in a hurry, and I go, damn, okay, do the self-check, and then, okay, think about other people, think about people who are less fortunate, and are living in diminished capacities. And I find that helpful because it's good for my heart and it's good for keeping that level of compassion open as I keep meeting with other people and going about my day. And like I said, of all the ways the universe can like deliver a little humbling biological message to me, shitting my pants is definitely one of the easier ways to, catalyze that type of series of realizations. So, and you just never know. You just never know when it's going to catch you. You don't know. Maybe you got like a bad flu. Maybe I got a bad flu, or like eat something that I can't control, and then, going through like normal events and thinking like, oh, that's a normal fart, or like that's a normal move, or whatever. And then, yeah, there you go. Just fucking shit my pants a little bit. So much for that one. And so I guess just have a sense of humor about it all. Oh yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good one. And try not to shit your pants, but if you do, who cares? Have a good one.